So first, I will explaining about employment law. Introduction to Industrial Relation and Employment Act. IRA and EA examine the relationship between workers and their employers within the working environment. It is also provide legislative framework for system of industrial relation. Next, outline right and obligation of the parties at workplace. The right and obligations are differ depending whether workers belong to trade union or not. However, employment lay down provision which affect to all employees. It set down minimum provision which apply to all workers, whether ununionized or not. Secondly, we have employment legislations. Okay, so this is the law that's related to employment legislation that provide basic benefits. So firstly is Employment Act 1955. Secondly, we have Wages Council Act 1947. Thirdly, we have Sabah Labour Ordinance. Other than that, we have Sarawak Labour Ordinance. Furthermore, we have Children and Young Person Employment Act 1966. Moreover, we have Worker Minimum Standards of Housing and Amenities Act 1990. Beside that, we have Weekly Holiday Act 1950, and lastly, we have Pension Act 1980. So this is law establishing industrial relation framework. So the firstly, we have Trade Union Act 1955, which is Industrial Relation Act 1967, and Public Service Tribunal Act 1977. Secondly, we have Social Security Laws, which is Employees Provident Fund Act 1991, Employees Social Security Act 1969, and Workmen Compensation Act 1952. So for the thirdly, we have Safety Law, which is Factory and Machinery Act 1967 and Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. Other than that, we have law restricting employers from hiring non-citizens, which is we have Employment Restriction Act 1968, and for lastly, we have law relating to training and employees, which is Human Resource Development Act 1992. Okay, so here is the outline of some of the important law. For firstly is the Employment Act. Employment Act lay down provision to protect workers from exploitation. Maknanya dia protect workers ni daripada sebarang eksploitasi. It provides minimum benefit for all workers covered by the Act and establish certain right for both employers and employees. Maknanya dia establish certain hak yang untuk employees dengan employees. So secondly, kita ada the Employee Provident Fund Act, which is establish compulsory saving system so employee will have money to support themselves once they retire. It cover all employers and administered by the Employees Provident Fund Board. Lebih kurang macam KWSP. Okay, so lastly is the Employees Social Security Act, which is administered by Social Security Organisation SOCSO to ensure employee receive compensation in case of work-related accident. Contohnya macam kita boleh guna duit yang kita simpan yang ada dekat SOCSO tu untuk kalau macam kita kemalangan. Okay, so next we have the Occupation Safety and Health Act, which is establish guideline and lay down the responsibilities of various parties in industry in relation to safety and health. Okay, other than that, we have the Trade Union Act, which is it control the activities of trade unions so they can developing an orderly and peaceful manner. It lay down rules and regulations which union are required to follow. Okay, for the lastly, we have the Industrial Relation Act, which is regulates the relation between employers and workmen and their union, as well as laying down rules to help prevent and settle the dispute between two parties, thus ensuring a peaceful industrial relation as far as possible.
Hi guys, my name is Aidil and I will present my part of Chapter 10, which is my topic is roles of government in industrial relations. So let's begin, shall we? First thing first, what is roles of government in industrial relations means? Well, it means is it act as legislator to parliament and for draft and present law. Secondly, administrator through Ministry of Human Resource to enforce system. Rules of government industry relations participate as the largest employer in the country toward public sector workmen. What government does have an impact on employees. This means that government have the ability to make the law and decide what law towards our community in Malaysia. Some of government roles throughout several bodies. The first thing first is Ministry of Human Resource. For Ministry of Human Resource, the government is responsible for administrating and overseeing the industrial relations system and to protect welfare of workers, promote good employer-employee relationships, assist in maximizing the country's manpower resource throughout manpower planning, to equip the unemployed with basic skills and improve the skill level of the workforce. Second, Department of Labour in Peninsular Malaysia. To enforce Employment Act, Workmen's Compensation Act, Wages Council Act, Children and Young Person Act, Workers' Minimum Standards Housing and Amenities Act. To Labour Court, it requires dispute between workers and employers over payment of wages, allowance, attachment and other benefits. The third one is Department of Industrial Relations, responsible for function of labour and industrial matters, help settle dispute between employer and employee to conciliation. This means that the government also responsible for seeing our employer and employees in industrial relations. Well, number 4, which is Department of Occupational Safety and Health. The government implementing Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 and Practice and Machinery Act 1967. Number 5, Department of Trade Unions gives central role in growth of trade union movement as authority to register newly formed unions, deregistered unions that found breaking the law, check unions' annual account, and investigate complaint made against particular union. Number 6, Employers Social Security Organization, or short form is SOCSO, implement insurance scheme with compulsory membership for all workers whose wages do not exceed 3,000 ringgit per month. Social Security Act 1969. It provides benefits to workers and their dependents in the event of work-related accidents. Number 7, Employees Provident Fund, EPF. All employees and employees must make monthly contributions that made available to employees on their retirement. The purpose of the fund is to ensure workers are not destitute once they retire from work. Number 8 is Human Resource Development Corporation. The government enforced Human Resource Development Act in order to encourage employers to train their workers through a fund. Lastly, number 9, Industrial Court. Specialized tribunal established to arbitrate dispute between employee and employer, an independent body governed by the rules of the judiciary and plays a crucial role in Malaysia industrial relations system. Well, in my conclusion, in my opinion, based on this slide and everything, well, the government will look and oversee all the companies and all the several bodies that in Malaysia. This means that every company have to follow the law, and the government will decide what law is suitable for every company. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is MUSA bin FAIZAL, and today I am going to present about Chapter 10. I will continue with overview of Employment Act. So, apa benda sebenarnya Employment Act ni? So, let's go. Kita tengok Employment Act ni lays down provision to protect workers from exploitation. So, dia boleh protect worker daripada certain contoh macam bos tu tak bagi gaji ke kan, apa kan. So Employment Act ni lah yang tolong. So next, it provide minimum benefits for all workers covered by the Act. So dia provide juga ada certain benefit untuk worker. So it also establish certain right for both employee and employer. So employee pun ada Employment Act ni boleh tolong. So employer pun boleh, bos dengan pekerja lah. So dua tu. Next, kita akan teruskan dengan coverage of Employment Act. So, apa benda sebenarnya yang Employment Act ni cover? So, first of all, cover all employee with no age relevant. So, semua pekerja lah, tak ikut umur kan. Next, number 2, works in Peninsula Malaysia. So dia kerja dekat Malaysia. Okay. Number 3, works in private sector, public or government sector employee. So swasta dengan kerajaan, so dua-dua dia akan termasuk kat dalam Employment Act ni. Number 4, covers employee earn not more than RM1,500 per month, not include commission, subsistence allowance, overtime payment and annual bonus. So next is manual labour. 6, supervisor. Number 7, driver or mechanic. Driver boss kan. Lepas tu mechanic boleh tak? Number 8, contract of service, contract of employment. Number 9 is part-timer, temporary, illegally employed immigrant. Number 10, domestic servant, maid, gardener. So maid, gardener pun boleh. So semua ni adalah apa benda benda yang di cover oleh Employment Act. So kita tengok next ialah contract of service versus contract for service. So apa benda dua ni? So contract of service ialah agreement made or signed by an individual to work for another in return for remuneration. So for contract for service ialah agreement made or signed by individual to provide a service to others. So ni the made or signed by individual to provide a service to others. So they provide service to others. It is a self-employed. So the self-employed, dia usuk orang kan. It is a self-employed agreement. And will be not protected by the Employment Act. So contract for service ni tak diprotect oleh Employment Act. So saya akan teruskan dengan next slide, dengan next presenter.
Assalamualaikum to Dr. Ayu. My name is MAHAMAD SHABREI. So today I'm gonna explain pasal basic right of employee yang ada dalam chapter 10. So basic right of employee ni dia ada 14 semua. So ambil masa sikit nak explain semua, tapi kita move one by one. So the first one is wage, iaitu gaji lah. So maximum wage period is no longer than 1 month. That means gaji penuh yang setiap pekerja yang akan dapat tidak akan melebihi daripada 1 bulan. So payment juga must be paid not less than 7 days of the end day, which is we know as a grace period. And payment must be in legal tender, for example cash and direct debit. So kalau kerja kerajaan tu mungkin masuk dalam bank, and kalau bekerja dengan orang atau bekerja sendiri mungkin akan dapat daripada cash lah. So we move forward to probation. Probation ni adalah a trial period untuk pekerja apabila dia dapat offer a job lah. Bila pekerja dapat offer, dia akan go to probation first lah. Probation ni adalah sebabnya untuk majikan monitor employer work to see whether they are capable and can adapt or not to organisation. So majikan ni dia buat probation untuk dia tengok pekerja ni dapat masuk ataupun dapat adapt lah dengan dia punya company. Employers juga may terminate service when they turn out to be unsuitable for the job. Majikan juga dapat untuk hapuskan kontrak ataupun servis pekerja tu jika dia nampak pekerja ni tak sesuai dengan kerja yang dia nak offer tu. And juga employee may also leave when they feel that not suit. Pekerja juga dapat untuk keluar daripada company ni jika dia rasa kerja ni tak sesuai dengan dia. So next one is working hour. Maximum working hour per day adalah 8 jam and per week adalah 48 jam. So dalam satu hari 6 jam, satu minggu 48 jam. And after 5 hour of working, akan dapat break dalam 30 minit. Tapi kalau company tu nak bagi break awal sebelum 5 jam boleh juga. And we move to next point is overtime. Overtime ni any work done in excess for the normal of work, normal hour of work. I mean overtime ni adalah kerja yang mana pekerja tu buat selepas normal hour kerja tu dah lepas. I mean lepas 8 jam tu diorang kerja lagi. So orang panggil tu adalah overtime. So maximum overtime adalah 12 jam dalam satu hari. And dalam satu bulan pula maximum overtime adalah 104 jam. So we move to absent without permission. Absent without permission ni, kalau dia pekerja ni continuously absent from work more than 2 consecutive working day, which mean 3 hari ke atas, diorang akan kena tindakan. Unless diorang ada excuse ataupun sebab yang munasabah untuk diorang tak datang tu. For example, ada illness or accident of the employee or family member, dia sakit ataupun dia ada insiden kepada diri dia ataupun family dia, ada kematian di dalam family, ada natural disaster, for example banjir ataupun kebakaran, and detained by police. Itu kena tangkap dengan polis lah, so dia tak boleh datang kan. And juga pekerja tu pun perlu inform majikan dia sebab dia tak boleh datang jika dia ada peluang yang awal. Macam dia dah jumpa sebelum ada masalah ke, dia boleh beritahu awal lah. And we move to next one is rest day. Employee entitled for 1 rest day per week. Mungkin 2 hari lah kalau kita. Saya rasa 2 hari kan. Kalau kat Kelantan Jumaat Sabtu, kalau dekat KL Selangor mungkin Sabtu dan Ahad. So shift worker pula dia rest day dia adalah 30 jam minimum lah, 30 jam. So we move to public holiday. Public holiday ni dia ada minimum of 10 public holiday, where for day 4 hari tu adalah wajib ataupun mandatory lah, which is National Day, Hari Kebangsaan, Hari Jadi Agong, Hari Jadi Sultan dan juga Hari Pekerja. So 4 hari tu memang wajib lah. So yang selebihnya untuk 6 hari tu employee majikan tu boleh decide untuk ambil cuti apa. So we move to annual leave. Annual leave ni employee must decide the annual leave. Employee entitled and clause of this should be included in the employee written term and condition employment. So in the act, minimum annual leave that follow less than 2 years of service, dia dapat minta annual leave sebanyak 8 hari. Kalau dia dah kerja between 2 ke 5 tahun, dia dapat buat 12 hari. Kalau dia kerja lebih daripada 5 tahun, dia akan dapat annual leave sebanyak 16 hari. So employee juga will be entitled for annual leave after completing 1 year service. And move to sick leave. Sick leave ni employee entitled for following paid sick leave per year. Kalau kerja tidak melebihi 2 tahun, dia dapat 14 hari sick leave. Kalau kerja between 2 ke 5 tahun, dia dapat 18 hari. Kerja lebih daripada 5 tahun, dia dapat 22 hari. So must certify unit for work by register medical professional. Must inform employee of his sickness within 40 hours of commencing the sick leave. So pekerja ni kena mention dekat dia punya majikan lah yang dalam masa 2 hari 48 jam. So we move to payment of medical bill pula. Payment of medical bill ni employer to pay for any medical examination to determine whether employer is ill and the nature of illness if he is. So majikan kena bayar setiap medical examination ke atas dia punya pekerja lah. So insurance coverage can be both by employer. And we move to notice of termination. Notice of termination ni provide employee and employee freely to agree on the notice period. Two provision which is length period, each party must be same and employee decide the notice period required and have this agree in contract of service. So we move to termination. Contract of employment come to end because dia ada sebab dia, which is resignation, dia bersara, resignation dia minta tamat kerja, retirement dia bersara, fit term contract, employee die ke, and so on. So we move to retrenchment. There is a situation where an employer terminate of the service of one or more employee because no longer work available for the person. Ini adalah determining di mana majikan hapuskan ataupun tamatkan servis pekerja apabila pekerja tu dah tak ada. Tactic used to avoid retrenchment is retrain and redeploy. Dia move to other department. Voluntary separation, dia volunteer untuk buat kerja lain, and reduce cost or cut wage and working hour. Dia kurang gaji dia lah. And lastly is the termination benefit. Termination benefit ni for employee within scope of EA, have more than 1 year service, within scope of collective agreement, which there is clause regarding such benefit, has clause in contract of employment. And the minimum benefit must be paid not later than 3 days after the employee last day of service. So that's all for basic right of employee. Thank you very much.